Join Coach Deborah D. Smith for the 5th Annual Virtual Men and Boys Conference. This year's theme is Blueprint for Training Young Men. The event kicks off at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time nightly from Monday, June 10th to Thursday, June 13th, streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. Special guests include Kaiwan Gibson, Guy Moreno, Pastor Basil Johnson, and Nathaniel Butler. These highly respected, influential speakers will engage in motivating, knowledge-driven content to empower our young men as they journey through life. For more information, visit www.buildyourbestlife.org.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is night 3 of our 5th annual Men and Boys Conference. Can you believe that? It's been 5 years. And every year it gets better and better and better. At least to me it does anyway. But thank you so much for tuning in. I see some of you already rolling in here. Good evening, Dan. Hi, Deacon Holmes. Thank y'all for tuning in. If you have been on here this week, you know that it has been off the chain. Using an old term, but it has been amazing. Kwan Gibson started us out on Monday night, and his topic was life skills to strive and thrive. And then last night we had Guy Moreno, spiritual mentorship. I can't say anything. You will have to, if you didn't see either one of those, you will have to go back and view them, because it has just been amazing. And I know tonight is going to be no different, so I'm not going to linger for a long time. But I just want you to know, if you have not been following us, that our theme this year is the blueprint for teaching young men. Proverbs 22:6 says, train up a child in the way that they should go, and they won't depart from it. Well, that's not just for when they're babies and toddlers and in elementary school. That continues. That's a lifelong journey. We have to continue to train them. So that is the content for this week. And like I say, it's been amazing. I won't take the topic away from us. I'll let you get that later on. But thank you again so much for being here tonight. At this time, I would like to take the opportunity to introduce our host for tonight, which is Mrs. Linda Wright Patrick, all the way from Freeport, Bahamas. And Linda is such a joy. She is an educator. She's a mom, a wife, and she is just amazing. I had the opportunity to be with her last year when we were there, and I could not ask for a better host. I mean, and it was amazing too. I had Pastor Johnson as well. So that was one of my cruises are my favorite vacation. And that was the best cruise I ever had, having an opportunity to do mission work while I was there. And again, it was Linda had a lot to do with that. So Linda, thank you so much. And look forward. I'll be back this year. I'll be back. So get ready. So thank you, Linda.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach Deborah, for having me. And for night 3, the third time is the charm. And so I am happy to be here. Great to have you. And as always, to host and to be able to share with you, our audience. So if you're live with us on YouTube or Facebook, go ahead and tell someone to come and join us. Target, seek out, encourage a young man to come on and listen to the wonderful nuggets that will be dropping today from our presenter. So go ahead, share, and let someone know that we are here. Okay? Listening is an excellent tool for developing skills and talents, and especially listening to great mentors. And I'm so happy. Those are words from Deborah D. Smith, right out of her book, Build Your Best Life Now with Coach Deborah D. Smith. And I'm excited that we have someone who can be a mentor to our young men. And so stay tuned in and listen as we have our speaker come on shortly to share during this Man and Boys Conference. And unbelievably, it has been 5 years. And so congratulations, Coach Deborah, on that wonderful, proud accomplishment that you have. So before we begin, let us seek the Lord in prayer. Our kind and gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for the opportunity where we can pour into young men, we can pour into families, we can pour into youth and the nation so that we can help to grow nations, we can help to strengthen families, we can help to make this world a better place for, even if it's just one person at a time. We ask that you'll be with the proceedings, be with Pastor Johnson as he presents, and be with all of the persons who are listening and hearing, and may they not keep the good news to themselves, but to share it with others. These mercies we ask in the precious name of your Son, Jesus. Amen. Yes. So we are at Man and Boys Conference, and we're talking about the blueprint for teaching young men. And tonight's topic is training the next generation to succeed. And I love that because we're not just thinking about the now, we're impacting the future. And if we're really good at it, we'll be impacting eternity as well. Okay, so we're so happy that you are here, and we encourage you to go ahead and share and take the information shared very seriously. Okay, make sure don't just listen, you have to apply it as well. So we want you to do that. So I'm excited to introduce our speaker for this evening, Basil Johnson, all the way from the we like to say, I'm from the second city, but he is actually from the city in the Bahamas. So I would like to introduce him to you as he comes on this evening. And listen closely, capture the nuggets, and live them. Okay? I know Coach Miller always would say, hey, you chew the watermelon, spit out the seed. So what isn't for you, you just leave it. But take what is for you. So that juicy part of the watermelon, grab that and take that. And the seeds that probably aren't for you, go ahead and leave that aside. Okay, so our speaker for this evening is Pastor Basil Johnson. And he was born in Nassau, Bahamas, where he was brought up in a Christian environment. But like most of us do sometimes, he went astray. And on February 22nd, 1995, at the age of 19 years old, he received Jesus as his Lord and personal Savior. He is now an associate pastor at the Living Waters Kingdom Ministries in Nassau, Bahamas. He has ministered in male and female correctional institutions, Simpson Penn Center for Boys, Willamette Pratt Center for Girls, Sandilands Rehabilitation Center, Princess Margaret Hospital, and Great Commission Ministries and educational institutions. Pastor Johnson has attained an associate's degree in biblical studies from the North Carolina Theological Seminary. He is a marriage officer of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. He is a certified chaplain with Chaplaincy International. He is the superintendent of the Simpson Penn Center for Boys. And here we have working with our young men. And of course, we want to get to them before they get into these correctional institutions. He is a certified mental health coach from Light University in Virginia. He has been married to Mistress Mona Lisa Johnson for 26 years and is the proud father of 3 sons. We are so excited that Pastor Johnson will be here to share with our young men what they can do as we look at training the next generation to succeed. And so it's not just the young men we want to be here. We also want those persons who work with young people, who work with young men to be here so that they can definitely know what to do to train the next generation to succeed. So if that's you and you're here watching, we want you to assist. Take up the mantle and help as we train the next generation to succeed. That is a part of what we can do to affect the next generation and to help affect eternity as a whole. So let us bring up Pastor Basil Johnson. And before he comes and actually speaks, I want to hear a few, some more things from him as it relates to what he is doing now there in Nassau, Bahamas. But just before he comes on, we will have an instrumental by Bird. So stay tuned and you will hear from Basil Johnson.
Well, a pleasant good evening to all of you. I'm so grateful having the opportunity tonight to be able to share with you great people. But I want to thank first and foremost Almighty God for the opportunity to share with you tonight. I also want to congratulate Coach Deborah Smith on this awesome assignment that I believe the Lord would have placed in her heart. And she have been holding it down for the past 5 years. So come on, let's just put something in the chat. Let's show her some love for her consistency and her dedication in building the lives of so many individuals. Also, I'm grateful for my wonderful wife and my sons for supporting me over all these years. I've been working in the vineyard for the past 29 years, pouring into the lives of young people. And so it's a pleasure to be with you tonight. Your theme, I also want to thank the Lord for Miss Linda Patrick. Come on, let's show her some love as well for being such a wonderful host tonight. And so your theme for this conference is entitled Blueprint for Training Young Men. And so when I look at the definition of the word blueprint, it is defined as a model, it is a plan, it is a template, it is a framework, it is a pattern, it is an example, it's a guide, it's a prototype. And the last but not least, it is a paradigm. And so it has the ability to shift your life, that you would be able to pattern your life after a particular design. And so the blueprint is necessary. The blueprint set boundaries. The blueprint helps you to hit your target. The blueprint is designed for you to follow. And so I want to share on this topic for the next 25 minutes. Training the next generation to succeed. I want to thank the Lord for my senior pastor in the person of Apostle Raymond Wells, who gave me the release to be able to share and to pour into the lives of so many individuals all around the world. And so when I look at this topic, training the next generation to succeed, I know I'm not going to get through with all of this teaching, and so I would just drop out. And so I would try to give you as much as possible in the time that is allotted to me. And so when I look at the word succeed, it means to achieve a desired aim or results. And so I have three amazing sons. My oldest son came right after marriage, and so his birthday just passed, making him 26 years old. And so I have another son, and he's 14 years old. And my baby boy is 12 years old. And so they roll in one right after the other when I got all started. But the good thing about it is that the three of my sons, my oldest son went off for about 3 years as his job called for him to work in another location. But when he came back to town, he came back home for a while. And so the three of my boys are all under my roof. And although they are my biological children, same mother, my three sons are different, like night, morning, and evening. And so the future is on us to invest and to train the next generation to be great. And so a nation that does not give attention to our young people is a nation that do not have a promising future. And now I'm going to get a little more poignant with our young people and with those who train or mentor to other individuals, whether in the United States of America or whatever part of the world that you may be living in. And so I want to draw your attention to this book. I'm going to read a few passages. It's in the book of St. Luke 15 and 11, and I'm going to walk you through this, and I'm going to pull out some principles and some nuggets for you to hold on to. I hear our host said that Coach Miller normally would say, when you eat the watermelon, spit out the seed. I normally would say, well, when you're eating the fish, you eat the meat and you spit out the bone. And so I want you to get what is for you tonight and give to somebody else what you think they can use. And so in the book of Luke 15 and 11, it's good if you can write some notes where you can go and analyze and search the scriptures for yourself. But the nuggets is going to pull from this particular text. He said that a certain man had 2 sons. And so right off the top in verse 11, we see that this man had 2 sons. We have a mother, a woman in our text, and she is missing in action because man is unable to reproduce by himself. And so we have a man in our story, but the mother figure, the wife figure, the fiance figure is missing out of our text, meaning we are faced with a single parent family. And for whatever the reason may be, I wonder if the child was affected because his mom picked up one day and abandoned the family. I wonder if the mother passed away, leaving the man a widower, or may have experienced a legal separation. However, the passage never placed any emphasis on where or what happened to the mother in our text. And so the first institution God set in motion was the family. I'm breaking it down before we get into it. And so the family is the basic social institution from which other social institutions have grown and developed. The institution of family has 3 important functions. Here we go. They are responsible for rearing or nurturing a child. That's one. The second one is to provide a sense of identity or belonging of its members. The third one is to transmit or pass on a culture between generations. One of the scriptures in the book of Joshua, it says that Joshua died and there arose another generation who did not know the Lord. And so one of the downfalls is one generation comes up and we have a responsibility to mentor those that are under us so that the impartation that we receive, we should be in a position that we will be able to pass it down. And so Moses was able to pass down that impartation to Joshua, and it stopped. You have Elijah who was able to pass it down to Elisha. You had a Paul that was able to pass it down to a Timothy. And so we have a responsibility as mentors to ensure that we pass that impartation down to those that are under us. And so we are talking about training the next generation. And so when I look at the word training, it is defined as the actions of teaching a person a particular skill or a type of behavior And so this is the pitfall number one that you should watch out for. One of the pitfalls that our young people should watch out for are negative learned behaviors. Negative learned behaviors. We have a generation that I recognize or observe that are struggling with learned behaviors, and these negative learned behaviors are hindering them from reaching their destination. We have young people who are exposed, they are unprotected, and they are vulnerable because those who are in authority or those who are supposed to supervise them have affected them in a negative way, and they have absorbed this negative learned behavior, and now it is playing out in their lives. We have some young people who have accepted the fact that they believe psychologically, they believe that the person who they are at this particular junction in their life, they believe that this is them, but it's not them. And so it's going to take individuals like us, mentors, who will be able to direct them and to speak into their life and help them to understand that they are better than this. This is only temporary. You're only feeling or acting out based on what happened to you, based on some of the bad experience that they would have gone through. And so I have many individuals who are contemplating suicide, wanting to take their life because they don't believe that there is an alternative. But I stop by to tell whoever may be on this link tonight, listening, whether present or wherever you would listen to this particular teaching during this conference, I want you to know that there is hope. God is able to transform your life. What you are contemplating now, this is just the beginning. Your life is greater than where you are right now. And so in this particular teaching, let me go a little. And so this is so vital because they adapt a particular behavior. And this particular behavior, it is cultivating their attitude that they are now possessed, that they now possess, not knowing that their attitude will determine the level of their success. And so at this junction in their life, they have to make some adjustments because attitude is so important. Your attitude is a small thing that makes a big difference. And your attitude is like a flat tire. You will only get so far if you do not change it. But I don't want to beat down on you because you are not the problem. You are affected. You are in environments where you was influenced and you adapt, absorb, learn negative behavior. But I stopped by to tell you tonight, in the book of Psalms 119, a question was asked, how can a young man cleanse his ways? And the answer came back. It says, by taking heed according to the word of the Lord. Let me move on into this teaching as it relates to these two young sons in our text tonight. We normally call the prodigal son. But it's in verse number 12. It says, and the younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the portion of goods that fall to me. And so this father divided to them his livelihood. The older son's portion was separated from the younger brother portion. The father did not even think twice about the request that was made by his youngest son, but he gave it to him without any questions being asked. And so I want to point out tonight how important it is for both parents to play their role in the life of their children. I believe that if the mother or a female guardian was involved in this text, I believe that this particular text and this young boy, I believe that this story was going to go a little bit different. Because in our text, this was the baby boy. In verse 13, it says, and not many days after, the younger son gathered all together, and he journeyed to a far country, and there he wasted his possession with prodigal living. Meaning, he began to live a reckless and a wasteful life. Listen to this. The son left the house, not even saying goodbye to his father, and he did not even say thank you for the inheritance that he received from his father. And so the first pitfall in this young man's life was learned behaviors. I wonder who he was hanging around that his life was affected. And the second pitfall was that it was a sense of entitlement. It was the sense of him being privileged. And so that's the second pitfall in the life of young individuals. And so in verse 14 it says, but when he had spent all, there arose a severe famine in that land, and he began to be in want. A famine can stem from a combination of multiple factors, such as conflict, displacement, poverty, food insecurity, natural disasters, and climate change. Lessons to be learned. Listen very carefully. If you do right by your parents, eventually things will turn in your favor regarding your life. So this is a principle that will work for you, whether you save or unsave. If you work this principle, you will see the hand of God in your life, whether you save or unsave. This is a principle. If you work it, it will work for you. Matter of fact, it is the first promise. It is the first commandment, and it is attached to a promise. And so, failure to do so, things will look good for a while, but it will eventually dry up on you. What are you saying, Mr. Johnson? How do you succeed as a young individual? In the book of Ephesians 1-3, it says, children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Here we go. It says, honor your father and your mother, which is the first commandment with a promise. Here we go. That it may be well with you. That it will be well with you. That it will be well with you. And you will live long on the earth. And so, before I made a public confession of faith, you heard our host tonight shared in my bio that I grew up in a Christian environment, but I went astray. But it was at the age of 19 years old that I called on the Lord, and the Lord heard me and answered my prayer. But before I called on the Lord, my life was going in the wrong direction. And there were a number of times where I almost lost my life based on my reckless lifestyle as a teenager. But because I honored my parents, because I respected my parents, the Lord guided me. He protected me. He kept me from the plans and the plot of my enemies. Outside of that, I know I was not going to see my 20th birthday. But the Lord kept me alive, and I am able to celebrate 48 years of existence and 29 years of serving the Lord wholeheartedly. And so the Lord protected me and guided me. Why? Because I activated this principle of respect and the principle of honor. And so I want to encourage you young people out there, don't allow peer pressure to get on you until you are trying to impress your friends and you disrespect your parents, because life will play a toil on you. Life have a way of cutting your life short. You will experience untimely death. But if you activate this principle in your life, you will live long, and the promise is that it will be well with you on the earth. And so the youngster thought that he had it all figured out. He had an abundance because his father was a good father. And so you are not entitled to anything that you do not ask for. And so he made his request. He asked. And so his father, being a good father, he granted him his request. In verse 15, it says that the young boy, he joined himself to a citizen of that country. And that citizen sent him into a field to feed swines. Back at his father's house, he went from sending people on errands. Now that he disrespected his parents, did not say thank you to his dad, and so he left the home bad, but expecting life to be promising to him. So he left bad, but he expected a promising future. And so that did not work out for him, because the Lord have a way of bringing you down when you disrespect your parents. And so the nugget I'm going to give you tonight, if you fix it with your parents, if you fix it with your guardian, God will make it right or make it up to you and cause the right set of people to come into your life, because the right voices in your head will enable you and help you to make better decisions in your life. Here we go. So he went from sending people on errands, and now he's the new errand boy, because he disrespect his family, he disrespect his mom, he disrespect his dad. And I'm prolonging and I'm staying on this particular topic because if you work this particular principle of honoring your parents, the promise will manifest inside of your life. It says that, and he would have gladly filled his stomach with the pods that the swines ate. And it says that no one give him anything. And so hard time is hitting him. Like I tell you, you might run for a while, but hard times is going to eventually hit your life if you don't make it right with your parents. And so nobody gave him anything. He was in desperate mode. But the Bible says in verse 17, and I don't want to sound preachy. And so it says that when he came to himself. He said, how many of my father hired servants have bread enough to eat, and I am out here perishing? As mentors, listen to this, mentors, because I don't want you to be discouraged. I have mentor young men and females, and it took some 5 and 10 years of working with individuals, and it looked like the seed that you planted and all of the work that you would have poured in to these individuals would have gone through one ass and come out the next. But because I have been in the field toiling so long, at 29, working with individuals, now at this point, I'm able to see individuals who have joined the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. That is like the Navy SEALs in the United States. I've seen persons become police officers. I've seen individuals, as I traveled to the United States, met them spending their last semesters in colleges. Mr. Johnson, I've walked in hotels looking for assistance, and I've had persons behind the front desk was able to assist me, and they were able to say, Mr. Johnson, do you remember me? I have a family now, and so now I am the gratification is good, because all of those years of planting those seeds in the life of those individuals, I am able to see the seed now has manifest. It has taken root in their lives, and I am able to see all of the work that would have been placed in the lives of so many individuals has come to fruition. And definitely it is an awesome experience, and I am grateful that I am able to see it whilst I'm here to be able to see the work. No credit on my end, but I was glad that the Lord was able to use me, and all honor and glory belongs to the Lord. And so I want to encourage the mentors, keep on working. After a while, you will see the manifestation of the work that you would have poured into, whether the person were at risk or not, because I believe that all youths are at risk at this particular junction down through here. And so, as a mentor, I want you to listen to this. Your work is not in vain. When you would have taught them and trained them, when there is no supervision around them, watch this. This young man found himself in the lowest place of his life. But it says that the young man said to himself, I will arise and I will go. So who was supervising him at this lowest point in his life? And so because you would have trained him, because you would have poured into him, the training becomes the voice in his ear gate. And so he was able to hear his father, who was his trainer, his mentor, speak to him. And so he said within himself, I will arise. He said, I will arise. Not only arise, because he could have arisen and stayed right there, but he said, I will arise and I will go. Guess what? He did that. And so the people around him, they tried to condition him and they tried to shape him. And that's why the person that he joined himself to put him in the lowest place, because they tried to get him to develop a level of low self-esteem, to belittle him. But because you would have poured into him, the thing that you poured into him was greater than the thing that tried to influence him to abort his mission and the assignment that the Lord had on his life. And so because you poured in, that the training was able to motivate him and to inspire him and to give him that lift that he was able to rise to the occasion. And so there was an impartation that was transferred from his father, the mentor, to the mentee. And so the training started speaking to him in the absence of the trainer. And so the father was not out searching for his son, because he knew that he would have mentored, he would have trained his son, that no matter where he find himself, that he put enough in him, that he knew that that gift, that ability, that he was able to rise to the occasion, no matter where he found himself in the pitfalls of life. And so here we go. And so that teacher, that mentor, that son, he was able to hear in his ear gates, he was able to hear his mentor say, "You are better than this." And so in verse number 18, as my time comes to an end, he said, "I will arise and go to my father, and I will say to my father, I have sinned against heaven and before you." No one told him what to say, but because he was taught right, he knew what to say. He said, "I am no longer worthy to be called your son." He said, "Make me like one of your hired servants." And he arose and came to his father. But when he was still a great way off, watch this, his father saw him from a great way off. His father did not go looking for him or seeking for him, but his father was watchful. His father was expecting him to come back, because he knew that he invested as a mentor into the mentee. He invested in his son. He invested in that troubled or challenged youth. He invested, and so he knew that it was only a matter of time before that boy will return back home. And so I want to encourage you, the mentor, it doesn't matter I believe that God will move on the seed that you would have sown in that individual, and eventually he will return back home. And so let me give you these few tips before I really go off air. And so here are a few tips. If you are a part of the trainers for the next generation to succeed, help them discover who they are. Help them to understand who they are, meaning their identity. Help them to understand why they were born, meaning help them to understand that they have a purpose. Help them to understand what is on the inside of them, that they are gifted, they are talented. And so we have a responsibility to activate that gift, that talent that is on the inside of them. To activate them means to switch on, to start off, to start them up, to give them a head start, to trigger off, to set in motion, to initiate, and to energize them. Tell them that they are special and God has chosen them for a purpose. So help them to understand who they are, why they were born, and what is on the inside of them. And so the father built his son tough. Listen to me. Listen very careful as I close. The father, the mentor, he built the mentee tough. Listen to the words coming out of my mouth. He built him tough. I did not say he was tough on him. He was not tough on him, but he built him tough. He built him tough. How? He built him tough because he showed the mentee love. He went, the second thing is, he went the extra mile with him. He built him tough by discipline. He built him tough by showing him affection. You watch him grab him. You watch him kiss him. You watch him gave him his undivided attention because there was another son who was in the balance. But he ignored one son for a while because this particular boy who was lost came back home. And so he gave his son all the attention and he embraced the son. And so one, he showed him love. He went the extra mile. He showed him affirmation. He disciplined him. He showed him affection. He gave him undivided attention. And number 7, I'm going to close right here. He did not, wow, this is so powerful. I got this one. And it knocked everything out of me. He was not able to teach his son forgiveness. This is one of the things that he was unable to teach. Because teaching a person or trying to teach a person how to forgive is almost impossible. Teaching forgiveness, in order to demonstrate it, you have to show them how to forgive. And the first lesson that his father taught him, lesson number 4, he had to show his son how to forgive. And his son was the first candidate, because although he left home, did not say thanks, did not contact the father at no time, walked out on the family. But when he came back, his father did not teach him forgiveness, but his father embraced him and he showed his son forgiveness. And so he demonstrated the power of forgiveness. And as a mentor to the mentee, no matter how they break your heart sometime, no matter how they may scar you sometime, no matter how they may kick you sometime, we have a responsibility. No matter what they do to us, we have a responsibility. If they return, we have a responsibility to embrace them and show them what it is to forgive. God bless you. God keep you is my prayer tonight. Thank you so much for receiving me. Thank you so much, Miss Smith and Miss Patrick.
Awesome. That has been, it was just so incredible. The nuggets, like I said, were dropping. Thank you so much, Pastor Johnson, for sharing. I just love so much of the points. Your life is greater than where you are now. This is, we have to get across to our mentees. Love it. And then, of course, they have to watch out for those pitfalls, the negative learned behaviors, the sense of entitlement. Awesome. And definitely the last 2 points, those of you who didn't get it, remember, go ahead, grab those nuggets and share it with others as well. I love when you said build a mentee. We have to build a mentee tough, right? Show them how to forgive. We don't talk or teach forgiveness. We have to show it. And that is so important when we are training the next generation to succeed. Thank you so much, Pastor Basil Johnson, for sharing. Let our audience know how they can reach out to you if they want to reach out to you. Of course, Coach Deborah, we'll also let her share how people can reach out to her and, of course, get her book as well. So I want to go ahead and share how they can get in touch with you.
Well, you can reach out to me on Facebook, Basil Johnson, Nassau, Bahamas, Living Waters Kingdom Ministry. You can reach out to the Simpson Penn Center for Boys Correctional Institution here in the capital, where I am responsible for the lives of our young men who would have fallen through the cracks. And I'm so grateful to be able to serve them because they are doing an exceptional job getting back on track. I'm very proud of them and their accomplishments. And so thank you so much once again for having me tonight.
Awesome. And I do hope, I'm so glad you mentioned that the work that you do. We mustn't give up, because it might take years, 5, 10 years, but you're able to see that the seeds that were planted, that they did indeed bloom. And that is just incredible to know, which we need to share with other persons who are training our young people. Do not give up. Thanks for sharing so much of that, all of those juicy nuggets with us. And of course, we wish that our young people, our young men, will also grab those nuggets and change their lives. Not just listen, but actually apply that information. This has been Training the Next Generation to Succeed. Join us tomorrow for night 4 of the Men and Boys Conference. Go ahead, share to help and inspire others as we continue to train young men now, because it's better to train now than to fix later. Thank you so much for joining us. We love you all, and have a great night.